Hey there, it's meteorologist Jamie Singleton with you here. It is Tuesday night, a little bit late, 10:55. I wanted to get on a little bit earlier. Hey there, Reynolds. I'm on Instagram as well. Looking at a very dangerous storm that has a history of dropping some large hail uh, in the Nelson County and Augusta County area. You can see the track here as it moved out of, let me zoom it out a little bit for you here, as it moved out of Pocahontas County, it's actually embedded within several counties of West Virginia, Pocahontas and Randolph counties, Highland County, Southern Highland County in Virginia, Bath County. We've got reported from the National Weather Service around 9:30 of 0.75 inch hail. That's 3/4 of an inch. It's pretty good size hail, almost up to quarter size. And there's a picture going around that I've shared on my Instagram and social media that shows this backyard deck that's covered in about 3 or 4 inches of what looks to be nickel to quarter sized hail. So we've seen these storms bubble up today. A lot of communities saw what we call whack-a-mole storms. They popped up on radar. They quickly produce large hail because there's that much instability today there in the afternoon, and then they've collapsed. But what we've seen is some of these storms die off with the setting of the sun, but this one right here is still holding together. And the core of this one, I'm looking at it from the Sterling radar here, is over Piney River in Nelson County. Livingston isn't under the hail core right now, but getting into Arrington and New Glasgow and Gladstone maybe, looking at this being a problem here around Roseland within the next minute or so. Tye River also in a path that's drifting off to the, or moving actually off to the south-southwest, and we get the movement on this thing for you here. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 11:15 for southern Nelson County at 10:56, which is just about right now. So this just came off the wire. Had a severe thunderstorm located near New Glasgow, moving, or near Clifford, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. One thing I need to do here, I was looking at some rotation earlier with this, and it's in a zone near a warm front. You can see the rest of the area is pretty quiet, but it's just that one lone sail there, and it's sneaking in the northern Amherst County as well. But I'm going to set my storm motion here, so if you give me just a second, this will help me determine some of the storm relative velocities here. And by doing that, let's see, so I'm going to put that put that right there, place storm motion for marker. Moving, okay, still moving southeast at 35 miles per hour according to my radar software. So what I do is I manually look at the storm over time, and then we look at the, take the velocity out. That doesn't really matter in terms of the overall velocity, and just look at how the storm, subtract the storm motion, and you get what's happening within the storm. Still some rotation here, but not seeing a whole lot of it. But this may be something still. I think green's inbound. You've got some outbound here, so there is some rotation. It is an area right now. Again, the biggest area to watch for is the potential for some hail with this. And, but we are in an area too where we could also see the potential for some rotation. So that's why I'm on here watching this for you. Hail size of about an inch is what's being picked up here between Piney River and Arrington. That's again to the south of Livingston. But you can certainly, if you're in Livingston or Shipman, in Arrington especially, you're in the core of this, you're starting to see, or near the core, starting to get a lot of lightning. It's another danger with any thunderstorm this time of the year, as we can get, lightning that occurs not only in the core of the storm, but before and after the storm reaches you. Lightning can be a killer. I want to emphasize that when hail, this is the hail tracker that I'm looking at. I'm going between products here, a max estimated hail size over time. That just filters out the rain and shows you the hail. Another way to look at that is the correlation coefficient. If it drops down, you've got a pretty good indicator of hail. The problem is the beam, this storm is between the Blacksburg radar and between the Sterling radar. Almost, it's actually riding the border between where the Blacksburg would hand it off to Sterling, and where Sterling would hand it off to Blacksburg. So it's in that no man's land in terms of getting low level data from this. So we're actually looking with each radar at about 10,000 feet up. That being said, still an impressive storm. I'm going to try to go here and look at a slice here of the storm and see if we can see this hail core aloft. And you can actually see those brighter reflectivities. This is at 20,000 feet. Now I can pivot this around some. When you see, that's down near the ground, but when you see that white there, it's a pretty good indicator of hail suspended at 15,000 feet. So that has to get down to the ground, and that's one of the things that we look at too. Correlation coefficient is another way to look at that. If you get some low values high up in the cloud, that's an indicator of hail that could be getting down, being brought downward by strong downdraft. And that those winds also can exceed severe thunderstorm force, which would mean 50 miles per hour or greater. So not just hail, but there could be a lot of velocity in there as well. Just looking at base velocity here in a three-dimensional mode here, and you'll pardon me getting a little technical, but I want to see, if we've got any spin going on, we need to talk about that too. But that's a three-dimensional look at the storm. I do also have the ability to go in here in 3D as a volume scan and look at certain parts of the storm. Now it looks like almost a rock right there, but what I can do, I have these different color tables. I actually have them saved at home, but I know how to filter out some of the stuff. So let's do that this way. Give you a little bit of a indicator like that. This kind of shows us inside the storm as well. So if you look back over time at this thing, again, it's in that funny area of radar coverage where you're only looking at the right above my head there, and then you go and you can see a fair amount of activity still suspended aloft. Not tremendously up there, but it is up there. A little bit of rotation showing up there. Again, this is kind of near the warm front. And I want to talk about the wind shear here for a second. But again, that's a view of the storm. This is, let me get this right. So we're looking at Livingston. We're looking at areas north and west of Livingston. A new image just came in. There's the newer image, which shows the storm holding together. So if you look at it over time, this is what it looks like. Hasn't really changed in terms of still bringing you that hail. Hasn't really weakened any. Hasn't gotten stronger either. It's kind of holding its own, and dropping likely $half sized hail before it melts down to maybe 1 inch hail. But this is a serious storm, and so Gladstone, you're in the path of it. Let me do a storm track from here. Let's see. I'll do it right here. So it's going to put it coming close to Gladstone here, and then moving right along the Buckingham County, Appomattox County line if it doesn't start to drift south. Sometimes when storms are severe like this, they'll start to move south of the mean wind. That's why the National Weather Service still has its special weather statement in effect for northern Amherst County as well. So not to be left out here, let's read that to you. At 10:41, a strong thunderstorm is located near Lowesville, or 8 miles northeast of Forks of Buffalo, moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. Wind gust up to 50 miles per hour. We mentioned the wind with this. It's got a lot of wind with it too. That hail can drag down the wind, and as that update just comes in, it looks like the hail's getting maybe a little stronger once again. Nickel-sized hail possible with this storm. Locations impacted would be Amherst, Clifford, Lowesville, Riverville, New Glasgow, and Piney River. The storm may intensify, so be certain to monitor yours truly. Have multiple ways to get warnings, is what they're telling you there. But I've got the track there on the screen. That's the only thing going on right now. And again, you can follow the damage, at least the hail, going all the way back here. It was over southern Randolph County, moved into Pocahontas, got northern Bath, southern Highland County. Then it came out into northern Rockbridge County, southern Augusta County, where that picture was shared around. And now it continues to drift off to the southeast. Normally at nighttime you lose the sunshine, so you lose the ability to generate new storms. But if something has already formed, we can certainly, see things extend well into the evening hours in terms of holding these storms together. Now, this is the Storm Prediction Center mesoanalysis. Virginia is right here. I may need to move us a little bit. There we go. So we've got wind shear in place. Over the past 4 hours or so, it's lessened somewhat, but there's a front here. So when you look at the wind at the surface, it's coming in out of the south and out of the southwest. Then you go aloft a little bit, and there's more of a due westerly component, and the winds increase with height. And then if you go a little bit higher than that, the winds are more west northwest out of that direction. And then if you go even higher, they're more northwesterly, all the way up to the jet stream level. A lot more wind still out of the west northwest. So there's some directional shear there, and that's what's being shown here on this product. Not a lot of wind shear over the Roanoke Valley area. That's the good news. But we'll have to wait and see if the storm there dies off, if we see any more convection into the night. There is a fair amount of warm air advection. In other words, we're moving in moisture and warm air coming in out of the southwest. You can see that here. You can also see it by looking at this graphic, and I know that's a bit confusing, but you kind of got to take my word on it. There's all these red areas. That's where we're moving in warmer air. When that happens, you can lift the air there as well. Surface-based energy has gone away, so what's holding the storm together is the storm. There's some cape probably elevated with this. There's a lot of downdraft cape because you've got energy that's being transferred into colder air pockets. It's going to slam into the ground with this hailstorm. So that's of concern. I'm just kind of going through some of the vorticity, some of the spin at the lower levels. SIGTOR, supercell composite. That's a good indicator too of rotation. You can see that was a little higher about an hour or two ago. It's now lessened. But notice as we go through tomorrow morning here, this is jumping ahead 6 hours. Let me go back here. This is off the ruck. So this is going to put that at 3Z, 6, 9Z. This will be in the middle of the night tonight. We start to see some supercell composite indices is jump back up to about 8 in the West Virginia. Now, if there are any storms that can develop in that, that would certainly be a problem. And you can see on this return flow here around, basically it's pulling ahead of a cold front, that these storms are going to maybe get nasty on us. And so the Storm Prediction Center right now, if you were to look at what's going on, and I think right now I've got the ability to see this auto refresh, but yeah, this is a look at the advisory here at the bottom of the screen. The advisories from the National Weather Service. This is pulling it off their website, so you can see the severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for the tip of their southern tip of Nelson County, and now a severe weather statement in the light blue. But if I get rid of that and put up the actual radar, that is the overall radar that I can kind of keep up just so it doesn't get overwhelmed. And that isn't for our Instagram viewers. This is for our OBS viewers. But you can see kind of a thumbnail of what's going on. This may be something useful at times just to give everybody. There's Roanoke in the center of the screen, Blacksburg there. So it's just that northern storm that we're talking about. All right, so we go to the, let me go to the convective outlook. So you can see they had us in slight risk earlier today. I don't go by risk all that much because we can, in this part of the area, unless it's like really jumping out at like enhanced or whatever, which it is, but we can get tornadoes and a marginal risk, and we can get bust and an enhanced risk sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't convey the real world, but it gives you an idea of the potential there. And you can see the hail risk is up to 15%. That's actually pretty high. Tornado risk is held a little bit farther back. This is for the rest of tonight. Now, if we go through tomorrow, we're at a marginal risk, but that could be elevated once again depending on what happens with that return flow. I do think that we are going to deal with something tomorrow that may be on the threshold of being another severe weather day. For Wednesday. Let me show you why. This is the Weather Prediction Center. And I'll talk about Sunday too. A lot of people are talking about Sunday. My feelings on saying stuff too early. Yeah, even I can get conservative sometimes. But this is a hodgepodge of a mess here. So let me get rid of the radar. And we'll put this back over here. So right now we are south of a very active front to our north. So ahead of that, you've got the moist air here coming in, and you've got on and off severe weather, scattered storms going on tonight. Tomorrow morning, nothing much changes. I think West Virginia will be the area that will see the most storms tomorrow morning. But at some point, that's going to have to move into our area during the afternoon. If it moves in during the peak heating hours, we could see some very strong storms across here tomorrow, and some of those storms could exhibit some rotation. Going to have to watch that because we've got kind of a pseudo backdoor cold front. Any boundary can enhance spin. And I am concerned about maybe rotating storms tomorrow, or at least severe storms. Then the front crosses Wednesday night and Thursday. The story will be then not only a strong storm or quick passing heavy shower, but Wednesday night and Thursday, it's going to get windy outside. We'll start to see probably some fire dangers. I know burning bans are in effect across a good part of the area. We'll see 30 to 40 mile per hour gusting winds behind this system. Now Friday it's calm, and then as we go into Saturday and Sunday, we've got a big system, and what will happen Easter Sunday more than likely is it's a cold rain. The big question is, and I haven't even looked at these other sources that are saying this, but I'm experienced enough to know what will happen as what could get our attention. And that's if this warm front lifts north, that would put parts of Virginia only in the 40s, and then south of that would be in the 70s. And so wherever this warm front ends up, and this is looking at Monday morning, so you kind of have to infer in between there. So at some point when that warm front lifts, we could get some severe weather with that, I think, late Sunday. We also have to worry about maybe some excessive rainfall. It's not showing up in these graphics just yet. I'm going to see if the Storm Prediction Center has anything that far out. I don't think they do, but let's look. A lot of folks were asking me. Somebody must have put something out on Facebook today about Sunday. And it could verify. I just think it's a little bit early for that. We've got this system to worry about first, so don't want you to miss the main points in time here. Let's see. We go to I want to go to come back to outlooks. Here we go. And predictability too low for both Saturday and Sunday. So no risk yet on the Easter Sunday storm, but we'll watch that. I want to get back to the storm at hand here. Let's see what's going on. We've got still one severe thunderstorm warning for southern Nelson County. It looks like it is weakening a little bit. Let me put it in the motion here, and you can follow it as it's dropped the hail all the way through here. This is the rotation over the past 1 hour or so, and you can see it does have a track where it was spinning a little bit, or has been spinning a little bit. This rotation algorithm is made after the fact, up till about maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago. You don't get that instant, but you can see it did have some rotation with it, and may still have a little bit of rotation with it. Max estimated hail size over the past hour. This is the swath of hail, more than likely. Vesuvius there, south of Craigsville. That's where the picture came in all in Augusta County there, of all the hail covering the ground there. And you can bet there's going to be some dense fog with this almost soupy air mass. We got dew points that are near 60, upper 50s to around 60, and then you've all of a sudden you've thrown all this ice out of the sky. There's going to be some dense fog in that area where you had the storm. My dew point was we're at 56 here at the TV station, which is about right here, and the one at my house was around 60. It tends to read a little bit high because of it's not an optimal location there in Burnt Chimney, but it's muggy outside for this time of the year, certainly. So that hail swath is kind of impressive there. Let's go back to composite reflectivity. This is surface reflectivity. We'll go back to our high resolution radar here. Turn that on for you. And it's a tight cluster there, but near Gladstone right now, that's the strongest part of the storm, and you can see it's still holding its own. The warning, I think, just expired, but that may be issued by Roanoke or the Blacksburg office here if it maintains intensity as it moves into Buckingham County. It looks like they're not putting out anything for the moment. It's also right there on the Amherst Appomattox line. So that tri-county area right between Gladstone, Buckingham, Toga, north of Appomattox. And I'm looking at this from Sterling. Let me look at this and set my storm vector to for Blacksburg. I do have it for Blacksburg, okay. So it's following the path in white of where I was tracking it earlier. It's interesting that we don't currently have any warnings with this yet. So I don't know if that was allowed to expire and they're just waiting on new data. I don't know if the VILs have dropped. It looks like they've dropped below, VIL densities dropped below 4 or 5. That may be what they were looking at and letting that warning go away. But it's still a strong storm. Look at the cluster of lightning there. If I go to storm, there's still a little bit of rotation with this. Could be more convergence right now. But, you know, anytime you get a bad storm like that coming down off the mountain, there's potential for some stretching and you can get some weird things to develop. There's not a lot of instability south of here, though, to keep it going, again, other than the storm itself. But you can probably see as far south as Roanoke and even in the south side, you can probably at the very edge of the horizon go out and see some of these lightning strikes putting on a show. And the reason why you get a lot of lightning, you got a lot of ice up in the atmosphere. So that's something to watch there. I'm going to continue to watch this for you. Again, we'll continue to play around with some of these data catches here. There's a look at the overall radar in motion, showing you that one storm. So for folks watching in Blacksburg, you know, right now there's nothing going on. So I can keep the worst storm up here in the main part of the screen. And then at the very bottom there, where you see one of our sponsors, Seal Tight, you can get the overall view of the radar. All right, so that's what we're looking at. Ooh, let me do this. Let me look at tomorrow. So a lot of folks are going to want to know about tomorrow. So let's look at some of the latest. Should be getting some of the latest data coming in from the short range models for tomorrow. Let me move this back. Nope. There we go. So I'm looking at the RAP, the 0Z RAP model. You can see Roanoke's right here. I'm going to put this into motion. So we got that one storm, may make it to Petersburg, we don't know. And the models are showing, again, what I was looking at earlier, some West Virginia, Northern Virginia flare up here. But throughout the day, convection in all models is hard to show. There could be some development here. I want to see the high-res NAM. This is the new 0Z. See how it picks up on this cluster in West Virginia as early as 8Z. And then by 12Z tomorrow, that's 8 a.m. tomorrow, we can have storms, severe storms in West Virginia. This is what makes more sense to me. They do die out according to the model late in the morning. That is our coolest part of the day before maybe flaring back up again for the afternoon. And where they flare up will be a function of exactly what happens overnight tonight and into tomorrow, because sunshine is, regulated by the storms that you get beforehand. So we'll have to watch upstream development in West Virginia tonight, and then look what happens. The main part of the front comes in Wednesday night, dies off a little bit, but it's strong as it comes out of Kentucky. All those black lines there are rotational tracks, updraft helicities, where you see rotating updrafts basically through time. So Kentucky and West Virginia right now, I would say tonight and tomorrow, need to be abreast of this. And then for our area, it's more showers and maybe a heavier storm late Wednesday into Thursday, but the wind is really going to get up behind here, and that's going to be a big story too. I want to look at my parameters. I want to look at supercell composite. This is going to look kind of funky, but that goes up considerably during the day tomorrow. It's highest off here. It's off the chart here across Indiana and Ohio and Kentucky. West Virginia, though, as early as tomorrow morning, starts to see numbers ramp up. And our numbers aren't zero, so ones and twos aren't anything to sneeze at. Looks like it may be more just west of the mountains, though. But I think in the Greenbrier Valley of West Virginia, Allegheny Highlands, and anybody watching out of state, this is a serious situation here for tomorrow. And then that moves on out. Significant tornado parameters, again, are usually going to be low to begin with, but anytime you see any value of this, it is worth noting. So there could be some spin tomorrow, but you can definitely see where all the big spin's going to be there across Louisville through Lexington, and maybe even going into West Virginia. Looks like we've got a warm front, and pardon me as I think out loud with this stuff. Warm front kind of snaking back through. And then right here is what concerns me. You got kind of a backdoor cold front. That's some kind of boundary there, Wednesday night. That pinches that off. So it'll be interesting next 24, 48 hours for sure as these storms continue to march on through the area. I think my max estimated hail size has gone down enough to where it's not even showing up now, so I can go back to regular rainfall off of this software. We'll go back to Blacksburg. It'll let me switch to Blacksburg. Come on. I'll do it this way. Okay, so there's our ground clutter. And again, we're getting now in the more of a Wakefield situation. So you can see the storm there over, I told you it's in the no man's land in radar terms. Blacksburg ends about right there. Sterling ends just to the north, and Wakefield picks it up. Could be nearing Farmville, though. Looks like it's going to pass north of Appomattox, maybe moving a little bit closer to Farmville. Here it is out of Wakefield. It's not letting me click around. That's okay. Wakefield's view of the same storm. appears to be weakening some, but we don't know exactly what's going down on the ground. So just keep in mind tomorrow that any storms that pop up could have some large hail. We could also see more in the way of damaging winds. Keep in mind if a storm's rotating, it doesn't necessarily mean a tornado. It means that we could organize winds in such that our straight line winds can produce the damage as well. Okay, so damaging winds, large hail with any storms tomorrow. We'll let you know if there's any watches or warnings going on. But right now, that's the only game in town. You can see the more serious stuff here out across Chicago and Cleveland. We turn on our radars from surrounding areas, and you can see it is a busy night up to the north. And so let me get rid of the radar at the bottom here. So this is all kind of going to be moving in our direction as we go into the day Wednesday. And again, for West Virginia, it's going to be a situation where it may be an overnight Wednesday morning situation, and then another possible surge in convective activity coming up for the afternoon, evening, and overnight for Wednesday and early Thursday before some really strong winds take hold of the area. That's all for right now. Stay safe, everybody. Stay quarantined. I want you to know I'm at work, but it's just Kevin and myself here. Tomorrow we have the sheriff's department coming on, or I think maybe one person. We have them that they sit far enough away that there's no contact really. It's more than probably 10 feet away from each other, and it's just me in the control room. We haven't been doing a live show since we did the harvester stuff over the weekend, and even then we were well spaced out. So not mentally, physically spaced out. The same thing will be going on tomorrow. So if you're in Franklin County, you want to know all about the latest COVID-19 stuff in Franklin County, join us live at 7 a.m. tomorrow on Rise and Shine on Cable 12. We'll be streaming that as well on our Facebook page. And then this weekend, we'll have live bluegrass from The Harvester featuring Jonathan Dillon and his band, I believe, coming up for the weekend. So that'll be something fun. But watching the weather here as well, all right? Have a good night.